Assalamualaikum Warahmatullahi Wabarakatuh. My brothers and my sisters, in this video I am going to continue to explain the biography of Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, where I will talk about the persecution and the pressure put by the Quraysh on Abu Talib. So my brothers and my sisters, in the last video we have talked about the attempts made to check the onward march of Islam. Now I am going to continue to talk about that also. So at the beginning of the fourth year of the call and for a period of some months thereafter, the politicians confined their harassment tactics to the mentioned above from the time, and after they realized that they could not restrict the inflow of people to Islam without persecuting the believers and torturing them, they arranged for another meeting. This time, they consulted amongst themselves and approved of a campaign of persecuting the Muslims and tutoring them to get them to leave their religion. Each of the ladders began persecuting anyone in their tribe found to be following the religion of Islam. Wherever Abu Jahl heard of the conversion of a man of high birth with powerful friends, he would deride his good sense and intellect, undermine his judgment, and threaten him with terrible consequences if he has a merchant. If the new convert if the new convert was socially weak, he would beat him mercilessly and subject him to unspeakable torture. The uncle of Usman bin Affan anh, used to wrap Usman in a mat of palm leaves and set fire under him. When Umar heard of her son's conversion, she subjected him to starvation and then expelled him from her house. He used to enjoy luxurious and easy life, but as the outcome of their tutors, he had to bear his skin become marked with wrinkles and his suffering showed. Bilal radiallahu anh, the slave of the Umayyah bin Khalif, was severely beaten by his master when the latter came to know of his conversion to Islam. Sometimes a rope was put around his neck and street urchins were made to drag him to the streets and even across the hillocks of Makkah. At other times, he was subjected to prolonged deprivation of the food and drink. Once he was bound during the hottest part of the day and left in the valley in Makkah. The Umayyah had a jade stone brought and placed it upon his chest. He said, "By Allah, I will not stop until you are dead or until you rejected Muhammad and worship Lat and Uzza." Yet even while Bilal radiallahu anh was suffering, he said only, One Abu Bakr radiallahu anh was passing by and moved by pity, he purchased him released from slavery. Another victim of the cruelty of Quraysh was Ammar bin Yasir, a free slave of Bani Makhzum. He, along with his mother and father, embraced Islam in its early phase. They were repeatedly made to lie on burning sand and were beaten severely. Ammar was at times thrown on embers. The Prophet ﷺ once passed by while they were being told and said, "O family of Yasir, be patient. You will certainly find your place in paradise." Yasir, the father, died because of the unrelenting torture. Sumayya, Amar's mother, was beaten to death by Abu Jahl himself and thus merited the title of the first woman martyr in Islam. Always, Ammar himself was subjected to various modes of torture and was always threatened with the continuous severe suffering unless he abused Muhammad and made an open confession of error to Allah and Uzza. In a weak moment, he uttered a word interpreted as his retraction from Islam, although his heart never wavered, and he became back at once to Muhammad ﷺ, who consoled him was for his pain and confirmed his faith. Immediately afterwards, the verse was revealed. ما كفر بالله من بعد إيمانه إلا من أكره وقلبه مطمئن بالإيمان. Whoever disbelieved in Allah after his belief, except him who is forced thereto, and those whose heart is at rest with faith. Abu Faik Aflah, a freed slave of Banu Abdul Dar, was another of those helpless victims. The Meccan politicians used to lay him down on sourcing sand with a stone on his back so that he could not move, leaving him in this state until he lost consciousness. They used to tie him his legs with rope and drag around a lentil until they thought it was dead. Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu also passed him while he was beating tortured, and he purchased his freedom for the sake of Allah. The oppressors used to fasten his feet with a rope and drag him in the streets of Makkah. Khabab bin al-Arta was the slave of the Ammar bin Sabah. He was also an easy victim to similar brutality on every possible oceans, and experienced unprecedented torture and ill treatment. He was seized by his hair and dragged, twisted by his neck and thrown into fire. Then his tormentors would drag him through the fire and not stop until his back was burned. Even the women converts were not spared, and the list is too long to include all of them. Zanira and Nadia and her daughter Ummah, Ubbas, and many others had their full share of persecution at the hand of oppressors. Umar bin al-Khattab radiallahu anh included, of course, before his conversion to Islam. Abu Bakr radiallahu anh, who was wealthy among the early believers, purchased and freed some of those slaves just as he did with regard to Bilal radiallahu anh and Amr bin Fuhara. So my brothers and my sisters, the pagans would also throw some of the companions into animal enclosures and then drag them into the hot sun. They put an iron armor on some of them and throw them upon boulders to swelter in the sun. No one would let his conversion to Islam be known except that he would have to undergo severe torture and suffering for the sake of Allah. So, as for the Prophet ﷺ, it was not easy to harm him because he had such significance, nobility, and matchless perfection of character that prevented even his enemies from committing any act of foolishness against him. He had as well Abu Talib, his uncle, who came from noble descent and had a large, influential clan to support him. This situation was a source of great worry to the infidels, but they felt that they could no longer exercise patience or show any tolerance before a frightening power marching steadily to resent their religious office and worldly authority. So, my brothers and sisters, and then later on, the Quraysh approached Abu Talib. Ibn Ishq said, some men among the notables of the Quraysh went to Abu Talib. They said, O Abu Talib, your nephew curses our gods, finds fault with our way of life, mocks our religion, and degrades our forefathers. Either you must stop him or you must let us get him. For you are opposed to his views just as we are in opposition to him. And we will rid you of him. Abu Talib tried to calm them down by giving a polite reply. The Prophet ﷺ, however, continued on his way of preaching Allah's religion and calling to it. The Quraysh could not be patient for a very long while. They witnessed his work in inviting others to Allah. The more he worked, the more they worked about the problem. So my brothers and my sisters, this is all for this video, and in the next video I am going to talk about the pressure put by the Quraysh on Abu Talib, the uncle of Prophet ﷺ. And Jazakallah Qairah for watching this video, and I seek forgiveness from Allah if I have done any mistakes while explaining the biography of Prophet Muhammad ﷺ. And Jazakallah Qairah for watching this video, and I will see you in the next video.